Rod Cooper, Australian Institute of Noise. I've been working with tape and cassettes for about 30 years now in various permutations. This is an album of mine that came out a number of years ago. When was it? 2012. Now the work itself was done before that, because that's just the release date, and it's Rod Cooper Magnets on Blank Tape. And it was released by an Australian label called Pleasing Everyone All the Time. And it was mastered by James Plotkin. The reason why it went on to vinyl, you might think that's ironic. However, when you touch magnets directly onto tape stock, you magnetize the tape and you run the risk of magnetizing the tape heads that you play the cassette on. This album was made up of reel-to-reel stock, cassette stock, and those little tapes that you find inside old answering machines. And it's described as being, on the album cover, a musical process. And basically that's what this is about. I'm not necessarily into making music. I do still make music, but I prefer to make noise. And at the Australian Institute of Noise, basically that's what we do. We are interested in the noise and the production of noise and the cultivation of noise. So here's a typical group purchase of tapes that I purchased recently, and it features, some pretty mundane stuff. The music industry is only run by a couple of different companies, so the value that I get out of this is erasing everything. And what's left when you do a degauze is that when I'm using magnets, even though I'm not touching the tape stock directly, I will get a little bit of dirt left on the tape itself, and I get a lot of these swooshing sounds. That's what I love to do. So we've got here a Pioneer single deck. The single decks actually sound better than double decks for some reason. I think they just had better heads and so on. And I bought this one fairly cheap and spent an afternoon changing the belts and just rubbing a whole heap of pure alcohol around the parts, getting off all the grime, getting off some of the oxide that comes off the tape. And I'm running this one through. My mum used to love this band. I hate them. They're one of the best selling bands in Australia. And I can't think of anything better to do than erase it. So here's another tape. This is a totally different tape stock, and you can see there's quite a bit of variation between each tape that you get. It's got more of a sort of a background whirring sound, accompanied by a loud pop and a little bit of swooshing. So I certainly don't need to hear Delilah again. Did I ever need to hear Delilah again? I actually prefer live at the Flamingo Hotel when he was really hot and young. Again, this is a one-off tape. Every one I do takes me a couple of hours, and you always get a different result every time. Yes, the sounds may be similar. However, again, tape stock gives me the variation that I'm looking for. As much of the original material as possible, I don't really want any of the old music left on the recording. I'm working down on the noise floor, so it's important to turn your volume levels up or to listen to it with headphones. So here's a little trilogy for December 2019.
Institute of North